Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 22. Sri Shuka said, Now when the first month of winter arrived, the maidens of Nanda's Braja contrived to worship Katyayani, good to gain, and subsisted on sacrificial grain. As soon as the dawn arising was seen, they bathed them in Kalindi's chilly stream. An image by the bank they formed with clay, prostrate themselves to the goddess and pray. They made of fragrances an offering, with scents and ointments and garlands, O king, with lamps and plumes of smoky incense rare, both opulent and simple dainty fare. Of fresh sprouted leaves they made sacrifice, and offered mellowed fruits and tasty rice. Hail, great goddess! Hail, mighty yogini! Almighty, dread, divine Katyayani! We pray thee, grant favour and benison, let our husband be Nanda Gopa's son. With this incantation the maidens prayed, and to the goddess adoration paid. Thus for the month to vows and fasts resigned, the maidens to Krishna devote their mind, and worship of Bhadrakali maintain, and pray repeatedly, oft and again, that Nanda's son for husband they might gain. They rise at dawn and go in merry bands, calling each other's name and holding hands. To bathe in Kalindi they move along, and loudly glorify Krishna in song. Now once to the river bank they made their way. Their garments, as before, on the bank lay. While sporting in the water they remain, they loudly sing with joy of Krishna's fame. That Lord of mystic lords was quite aware, and thus Almighty Krishna hastened there. Surrounded by his friends, he thither went, to grant of their action the fulfillment. He gathered up their garments hastily, and clomb the lofty branches of a tree, while he himself and the boys laugh and joke. The damsels addressing, with smiles he spoke. The illustrious one said, O tender damsels, hither come, I say, and each may take her own garment away. I speak the honest truth, nor do I jest, since ye by vows and are wearied and distressed. I never have, shall never tell a lie, and these, my friends, to this can testify. O dainty waisted dames, or one by one, or in groups as ye please, now forward come. The varied garments gathered here survey, and each may take her own garment away. Observing his conduct and levity, the cowherd maids felt love's hilarity, each glancing at each with laughter and shame, and still within the water did remain. Govinda's joking speech thus having heard, their minds were fondly attracted and stirred, and shivering neck deep in the water they, trembling with cold, then to him 'gan to say, O injustice do not commit, dear one. We know you as the cowherd Nanda's son. You are in Braja very much adored, but we are cold. Let our clothes be restored. O dark and handsome one, we shall fulfill as maidservants whatever be your will. But you, as a knower of righteousness, must give us back our clothes, lest we confess, and if you fail to return them again, we shall to the king protest and complain." The illustrious one said, "Well, if ye are my servants, as ye say, it follows that what I said ye should obey. So come and pick out your garments the while, and do it with a fresh and pleasing smile. If not, I will not give your clothes to you, and what, e'en if angry, can the king do?" Then out from the chilly water they rose, and their trembling naked persons expose. Shamefastness to them modesty imparts, and with their hands they hide their private parts. Observing with delight, the mighty one was struck by their pure loving affection, and the garments over his shoulder laid, and with smiles and affection deep he said, "You have, like those who vows and fasts commence, by bathing naked made a dire offence. To the gods, and hence, as occasion demands, you must in salutation join your hands. Held above your heads to propitiate the gods, and sin incurred expiate. Which having done, your obeisances make, and then you may your coloured garments take." Additional lines now from Viraraghava and Vijayadwaja's recension of Srimad Bhagavatam. We call this verse 19a, b and c. "The cowherd damosels, when they had heard his stern commandment, trusting in his word, who was the mighty Lord whom all obey, in fear with but one hand they humbly pay obeisance, yet in shame the other hand conceals their private parts while there they stand. Marking the violation of their vow, by only using one hand while they bow, that glorious Lord, observant of decrees of righteousness, began in words like these: Those who are learned in the Vedas know that he who would to Lord Achyuta bow with but one hand commits a heinous deed, the punishment for which hath been decreed for those who bow in this improper way is that the other hand be lopped away. Therefore, whoso respects the Lord's commands, when bowing down, should use both of the hands. So come, fair damsels, and do as I tell, and by this action you would please me well." Back to the main text. That speech of him who never slips when heard, they understood they had a slip incurred in the observance of their pious vow, and to fulfill their wish to him they bow. The tender maids with lowered head salute the one who grants of pious deeds the fruit. And having thus Achyuta satisfied, they were from all taint and sin purified. Observing them bow in humility, the illustrious son of Devaki was pleased with how they lovingly adored, and their garments kindly to them restored. Although they were toyed with, deceived and shocked, deprived of modesty, jeered at and mocked, and though he did their garments confiscate, they felt nor spite, nor injury, nor hate, but revelled in supreme felicity to join in their beloved's company. Enamoured of his close society, they dressed themselves with decent modesty. Their minds could not withdraw, and were steadfast, and stood quite still, and fond shy glances cast. The Almighty knew their pious desire, and that to touch his feet they did aspire. He knew why they the vow did undertake. Thus to those damsels Damodara spake. I know of your resolution, and how to worship me you have observed this vow. It is approved of very much by me, of which due attainment shall surely be. Those who their minds engross in me entire are no more prompted by worldly desire, as when are burnt or cooked the seed or grain, it is certain they will not sprout again. Now, pious damsels, to Braja repair. You have achieved fulfillment of your prayer. You shall with me revel during those nights for which you worshipped the goddess with rites. Sri Shuka said, accosted thus by the Almighty One, those maidens gained their wish by worship done. Their minds upon his lotus feet intent, regretfully back to Braja they went. Now, once, surrounded by his cowherd friends, the Son Almighty of Devaki wends, and roaming from Vrindavan far away, tending the cows, did with his elder stray. He saw how Arka's tormenting heat blazed, and how for shade the trees canopies raised, and thus to praise the glory of the trees, spoke to his cowherd friends in words like these. O little Stoka Krishna, Sri Dama, O Angsu, Subala and Arjuna, and O Vrishala and Devaprashta, Rishabha, Ojasvi, Varutapa. Behold the blessed fortune of the trees, who act exclusively others to please, whose life is dedicated to the gain of others, and while enduring the rain, the summer heat, the wind and winter snow, from all these do to us shelter bestow. Ah me, the birth of trees is glorified, who for creatures abundantly provide, as those who to a generous man pray will never disappointed go away. With leaves and flowers, bark and shade and fruits, their wood, their fragrant perfumes, and their roots, with ash and pulp and shoots and sappy juice, they provide for necessity and use. This much then indicates the perfect birth for the embodied soul who dwells on earth, who does his life and wealth and thought commit, and acts and speaks for others' benefit. Thus he, then from the forest he removes, through flowery and leafy fragrant groves, where trees bow with fruits abundant store, and came to the sandy Yamuna's shore. They did the cows to drink the water bring, which was clear, cool, and wholesome, my dear king. The cowherd boys also their thirst to slake, of the pure and sweet water did partake. Thus, tending the cows through the woody shade, along the river bank, O king, they strayed. Thereupon the boys by hunger were oppressed, and thus Rama and Krishna they addressed. And thus ends chapter 22 in book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa.